Good morning, beautiful people out there. It's a beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning. How is the weather at your end? Harmattan is upon us right here in Nigeria. In some other parts of the world, you have winter. The Christmas is here. The New Year is, just around the corner. And with that, I bid you warm welcome to yet another interesting edition of Beautiful Outstanding Ladies with Disabilities Television, Bold TV. This is where issues of and around women and girls with disabilities are discussed every Saturday, 10:30 on your Facebook and YouTube channel. Thank you so much for always being a part of the show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for viewing our videos, for sharing, for liking, for commenting, for your questions. We really do appreciate you. And we hope that we'll keep the relationship come 2024 and beyond. I'm your host for today, Oluwatomisin Olatayo. And I've got other ladies with me. We've also got a special guest, someone together with whom we would be discussing our issue of the day. So I'll give the ladies the privilege to introduce themselves. After me, the host, like I said, my name is Oluwatomisin Olatayo. I'm based in Abeokuta, the state capital of Ogun, Southwest Nigeria. I'm a visually impaired person, a broadcast journalist, a copywriter, a sound engineer, a gender and disability rights advocate. Feels really awesome to be here this Saturday.
Hi everyone, my name is Trekkie Andrew Essien. I'm based in Port Harcourt in Rivers State, and I'm glad to be here this morning to discuss another interesting episode. I identify as a woman with disability because I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. So once again, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trekkie, for joining.
All right, good morning everyone. My name is Afion Etem. I'm a medical lab scientist based in Uyo, member of Bold Hearts Initiative. I also use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. It's good to be here.
And to our guests.
Okay, good morning everybody. Good morning esteemed listeners. My name is Lucinda Ogunlade. I am based in Lagos. I'm currently in Lekki. I'm a counseling psychologist. I'm a writer, I'm a teens coach, a family life advocate, and I'm actually living with disability because according to World Health Organization, persons living with albinism are categorized under persons living with disability. So obviously I'm living with albinism, so I'm also a part and a member of this body. Thank you.
Ooh, so that's quite amazing right there, because I didn't know that Lucinda had been chatting with all this while. Or chatting through with is also a person with disability. Okay, so she is with albinism, and so you're welcome to the program as we discuss the power of mind over matter. Mind over matter. It's no news that the year 2023, with all its hurdles, challenges, excitement, fears, and all of that, is gradually winding down. A lot of us cannot wait for the new year. Some people are very uncertain of the new year. They really want to see if there is a button to press pause. But unfortunately, time waits for no man and no one after all. So, as we gradually gravitate towards 2024, a lot of people will be doing a lot of New Year resolutions, a lot of New Year adjustments, especially in view of Nigeria today, economically, politically, socially, and otherwise. So it's only fair that this kind of conversation is held at this time to further equip people with the right information to go about the new year as they, walk through the end of the year. And that's why we're discussing power of mind over matter. What is mind over matter? And that's going to be my first question. Thank you. What does mind over matter mean to you?
Mind over matter basically speaks to perception. It speaks to a person's perception when it comes to their reality. When you're faced with a particular situation, what do you see and what inspires what you see? So what motivates what you see? If you're facing a difficult situation, whatever reality is, how you see it is a function of what is going on in your mind, the beliefs you have, the kind of thoughts, that go through your mind. They influence how you see the matter, which is the physical reality in front of you. So it's mostly a function of perception and how you see things.
Thank you very much, Afion, for that one. Lucinda, as a counselor and psychologist, you read minds. You hear people talk. What is mind over matter? Thank you.
Okay, we don't actually read minds. We don't hear people talk. We just do observations based on the behavior that we see, and the ones that we don't see, the overt and the covert behavior, and we make assumptions and conclusions. So psychologists don't look at you and they just actually know what you are thinking. That's not 100% correct. Okay, so mind over matter. For me, like Afion just said, she literally said almost everything about the whole concept of the mind over matter. The mind is basically who we truly are, how we see things. Everything that goes on inside the person happens in the mind. The mind is like the governing body, is like the CPU, the central processing unit of a person, of a human being, where everything you do is being processed. How you feel, how you react to situations, how you handle issues, it happens in the mind. The mind is like the machine that controls the behavior, that controls the disposition, that controls how we relate with issues, how we manage situations. Do you understand? So the mind is a very powerful tool that we must actually pay attention to if we really want to have success, if we really want to achieve results when it comes to issues of life, because definitely there will be issues, like you said in your opening remark, that this year, sincerely, I can't wait to just flip over it, because it's been a year. Really, it's been a year. But how my disposition, how I take everything that has happened to me this year is a function of what happens, of how I've trained my mind. So my mind is the powerhouse, is the engine of the whole of me. So I'm a function of everything that happens, the transactions that happen in my mind. That's who I am. So I believe that the mind is who we are, and it affects directly or indirectly affects how we respond and how we resolve issues or matters as put in the topic. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Lucinda, for that one. I love the fact that the mind is regarded as the central processing unit of the whole being, like your body, your spirit, your soul, whatever it is in your mind, helps you to diffuse and, relate with every other thing, either better or worse, depending on how you want to look at it. And I want to say that mind over matter is more like putting a positive attitude on over issues and challenges that may arise. As women with disabilities, I'm sure if I begin to ask every one of us here that what's our story, you'll find out that it's not been an easy one. We all have different levels at which our disability comes in. But we are here today because we have decided to place our mind over the challenge of disability. We have decided to stay positive in our mind, in our being, over difficulties, over problems, because of course in the local palace they say problem no dey finish. All right, going to the next question. How, as women and girls with disabilities, can we begin to put our mind, especially in a positive light, over issues, over matters as they arise?
Thank you very much. I think one of the things that would be crucial for women and girls with disabilities is understanding that a lot of the battles that we face are not necessarily physical, they are in the mind. And if we're able to win a lot of these battles in our minds, we have already gone halfway into resolving issues. So understand that winning a battle, whether it's making a decision, whether it's setting a goal, overcoming a fear to run for it, or not allowing disability to define your entirety as a human being, and all of these things, if we're able to understand that place called the mind is like a battlefield. It's a field where all sorts of thoughts, positive and negative, would come, and that in winning that space, we begin to win in life. We'll begin to be careful of what we think or subject our minds to. We'll be careful of the things that we allow to to perch negative thoughts that we're allowed to ruminate in our minds. We'll be careful about what triggers maybe negative thoughts, because some people trigger negative thoughts, some situations trigger negative thoughts. So we begin to determine what we feed our minds so that we can move forward. There's a lot of battle of will, but it starts with the mind. A lot of people think that the physical is where the battle is. No, there's a lot that we can do when our minds are set and sure about the fact that we won in that battle. Let me give an instance. When I tried to go back to school after the accident and I was told no, one thing was clear. I don't know, in my head, I was going to be a graduate. Like, it was just a function of where it was going to happen. So it was not going to happen in that university where I'd spent time and then I had an accident. Then it was going to happen somewhere else. So I had settled that already in my mind. So anybody's response was their own opinion based on what they knew. But I knew that I was going to find a way around it and be able to solve it. But I needed to conclude that in my mind. The final thing I would say is this. When we do not allow our minds, or when we do not overcome in our minds, what happens with us, especially women with disabilities, and this happens a lot in relationships, is that we begin to take people's perception of us rather than what is true for us. So we begin to think how people think we should be. We begin to act how people think we should be. And somebody said something. They said that if you want to know a person who is not her person, just see her in different relationships. She's different things. In different relationships, she's not the same person. And I've seen a lot of women with disabilities, because they've not had that place of self-identity. Their mind has not yet figured out who they are. There are a lot of things. So in our relating to other people, you should be careful to win who you are. If you win yourself in your mind so that people don't project upon who they think you should be. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that one. And I really appreciate the fact that you mentioned that battles, decisions start from the mind. And the best you can do is to have conquered in your mind. Because if you have not made that if you are not a conqueror in your mind already, you may not have that willpower to actually conquer in the physical. Because your mind will now begin to project doubts, it will begin to project fears, it will begin to project a lot of negative thoughts. The Bible says, I love to quote that, as a man thinketh, so he is. So it means that whatever it is you project in your mind, comes up onto the larger screen. And so as you go into 2024, I want to charge you to be a positive thinker in all that you do. Yes, I know that people would likely say, there's always two sides to a story, but dwell more on the positive side to the story. Okay, Lucinda, I want to know, how can we begin? What other advice would you have in relating to this question, placing your mind over matter? How do we, as women with disabilities, girls with disabilities, begin to project our mind positively over issues?
I believe that this is something that nobody can do, or nobody will do for us. We have to make that decision to place our minds over matter, over the situation around us, over challenges around us. It's a deliberate decision that we must make, regardless of what the society is saying, regardless of what people think or feel about us, sometimes even regardless of how we even feel about ourselves. That's why it's important that we have to build our esteem. We have to find ourselves. We have to know why we are here and identify our purpose. This will help us to focus on those parts, on that part of us that we have come to understand and that is working. Because, like you said, the first speaker that spoke on this question said, she said, several things will happen. Like for me this year, I lost my husband 3 months ago. I can choose to stay in depression. I can choose to stay mourning and crying all day. But after my husband's death, I just knew in my heart somewhere that I'm not going to break. Even though I have to cry every day, I knew that I am not going to break, regardless of what has happened. His death was the most painful thing I can ever. I don't have words to explain my husband's demise. But even while I was in the cemetery and I was being asked to do dust for dust, I said, Lucy, this will not break you. And that's how I want everyone living with disability to see life, that regardless of what happens, I still choose to be thankful. Imagine me coming out to give testimony in church, I think 2 weeks ago, and I told them that I'm here. I have several reasons to be thankful. I have several reasons to be grateful to God for. So like you said, if we focus on the positive, because it's a battle, like the first speaker spoke about, it's a battle. No, I keep hearing voices that, you know, your life has come to an end, everything will end here for you, you know, how do you take the next step? And I'm like, I don't know what the next minute holds, I don't know what will happen the next day, but I am still here and I'm grateful for the gift of life. So I feel that having discovered ourselves and found out, you know, what we are supposed to be doing here on this part of the divide, it will help us to focus on those things. I know I'm super, I know I'm great, I know my physical appearance does not define me, I know my husband's death does not define me, reflect what anybody thinks about me. I believe that this will pass. I don't know when, I don't know how. So I feel that we should have this understanding, and this did not just jump on me. Over the years, I've come to build this resilience that life, until I breathe my until I breathe my last, I continue to fight. I am a fighter. I am a winner. I keep striving. So if we have this understanding, people will come and say things. I've heard things, several things. People have said a lot. You know, every day I wake up, I receive calls, I hear things. Aside the love I'm showered with, people still say things, you know. But I made up my mind that this will not crush me. So I feel if we stand in this position, I believe that we'll be able to overcome this matter. Our mind will conquer all of this matter, and we'll see ourselves triumphing.
Thank you very much, Lucinda, for that one. And, you know, we express our sincere condolence to you on the demise of your husband. Yeah, you're strong, and I really want to appreciate you for that. You're a bold woman, and we really, really want to sincerely stand by you on that. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure the Almighty will continue to comfort you and be there for you wherever it is much needed. And I love the words of affirmation that you speak to yourself. And this is one thing that women and girls with disabilities out there can also imbibe: words of affirmation. The words you tell yourself when you look in the mirror, when you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, in the face of challenges, has a long way to go in helping you be that kind of person. And there's this joke that people usually say: there's a woman who constantly refers to her husband as a nuisance, and then when the daughter or son got to school and the teacher was asking, "Who is your father?" He said, "My father is a nuisance." It means that there is power in our words, either the one we say to people or we say to ourselves. So when you continue to profess positive words to yourself, you see yourself walking in that positive light to achieve a positive result. Problems would always come. It will always come. You cannot escape it. Okay, so moving on, I want to ask, what are the disadvantages of allowing challenges, take the best part of you?
You lose the chance to truly live, first of all, because you can't enjoy life when you're focused on what is not there. When you're focused on the negatives, on the problems, you definitely will not see what is available. And focusing on the negative comes from a place of a lack of gratitude. Like Lucinda said, my condolences, by the way, condolences on the loss of your husband. Like Lucinda said, it's a choice. You decide what you want to focus on. What is it that is in what you focus on is what you have said you have chosen to be important to you. So when you choose to focus on the problems and you choose not to, take your mind off of it, you allow the matter to be great. That means you have told your mind that this is what is important, and your mind will keep replaying that over and over again. It doesn't mean that your problems are not important. It doesn't mean that, what is going on is not valid. Your pain is valid. Your problems, are valid. But you have a choice. You are still the one in charge. You are the one who gets to determine. So you give up your peace. You give up your peace. You give up the chance to be joyful. You have chosen to let go of happiness the moment you decide to focus on just the problem. So you don't get to live. You don't get to, live to the fullest. You don't get to enjoy life. Those problems will be there. Whether you think about them or not, problems will come, but it's up to you how you choose to deal with them. So when you choose not to deal with them the way, or to focus on what gives you joy. For example, I've had situations where, I think I've shared it here before, where I had, a panic attack because I was having a lot of anxiety. I was having a lot of, being very anxious about so many things. But at some point, I realized that the more I focused on what I thought was wrong, and a lot of those things, I found out that it was my mind magnifying, the problem to an extent that even what was not there, I began to see them. So I decided to manage my expectations and focus on what I needed to, because I valued peace. So when you choose not to focus on, what you desire, and you focus only on the problem, you will end up losing your peace. You will give up joy, and you will never enjoy life to the fullest.
All right, thank you very much, Afyong. For you to enjoy life to the fullest, for you to avoid depression, sadness, passing aggression to the other person that has no business in your pain, you just have to place your mind over matter. And I use that opportunity to bid Constance welcome. While you introduce yourself, Constance, I want you to address the issue of naturally, as human beings, when things happen, we are bound to fret, we are bound to shake, we are bound to feel confused. Introduce yourself first and then talk to the topic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tomisi. Good morning, everyone. My name is Constance Nneka Onyemaechi, Executive Director, Women and Girls with Albinism Network, and it's so good to be back. Okay, so I'll use myself as an example, because I know what works for me might not work for the other person. So how I overcome when there are issues on ground and I just want to not allow that issue weigh me down, I tend to reflect more on the positives that have happened rather than on the bad side of it. For example, whenever there is any form of rejections from application, I begin to look at the ones that I have applied for and gotten. I reflect more on what I have tried and succeeded at, instead of dwelling on what I have failed or what I did not get. And then I think for me, what also pulls me out of that state of depression or sadness over dwelling on something that hasn't worked is trying to find out what I may have, retracing my steps, trying to find out what I may have done that did not work, or what I can do better to succeed next time. And then I do more reflection, internal reflection. I also do more reading, and then I also pray as well. So that's how I'm able to overcome moments like that whenever they arise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Constance, for that line of thoughts right there. Once you begin to feel like issues are much, why not engage in hobbies? Take your hobbies, go out, meet people, read, sing, dance, just try as much as possible to shake it off and, reflect on the positive side of life. Be grateful for the life you have got and the life you're living at the moment. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your thoughts with us on the power of mind over matter. In closing, I would want us to just share our closing remarks, our closing thoughts. What would you say to the woman out there who is with a disability, even women without disabilities watching us right now? How would you round it up on this topic?
One counsel or advice for ladies in general, you need to identify, you need to come to terms, you need to understand you need to dig into your strength and begin to develop it. You need to focus more on that part of you that is working, because really life will always throw stones at us, and you have to believe, you have to consciously have this at the back of your mind that you are not unfortunate. Because sometimes I've had to ask myself this question, I have to confront my maker and say, why am I always the scapegoat? And wants to, my mind is almost messed up with thoughts that, you are unfortunate. No, just happens. We are not unfortunate. So if we come to terms with this belief that we are not unfortunate and things will always happen, it will help us understand how to navigate through these challenges of life. Because really, that's why you see cases of suicide. People get to a point where they feel that they cannot handle it again. They feel death is the surest and the safest path. They take their life. But once you still see the ray, even if it's a tiny ray of hope, and you hold on to it, in the end, it should always end in praise. Say there's light at the end of every tunnel. There's no rain without the cloud. So, during the cloud season, it's like everywhere is getting dark and this, but eventually it will rain. And when it rains, everything becomes good. And we need to understand that nothing is permanent. So we must have this understanding and be flexible in our mind to accommodate whatever comes. And for me, I want to recommend that we have a strong belief, whatever you believe in, whatever deity or whatever God you cry unto, can give us comfort in times like this and help us to see the positive rather than focus on the negative. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mine is very simple. The issue of the power over matter with your mind is very crucial for women and girls with disabilities to be able to achieve anything on any level in this world. You have to win that battle in your mind. Last thing I'm going to say is this: if you ever feel tired in your mind, overwhelmed, it's okay to retreat so that you're able to refire. Don't just go on fast forward and be superwoman when you know that inside is tired. Take a moment, pause, breathe, find strength, and come back. Thank you.
You need to accept that there'll be bad times, there'll be good times. The world is not a bed of roses. You just have to accept things the way they are, the way they come. Accept them. Do not dwell in the bad time, but plan and move forward, because bad times will always be there, but it only comes to make you stronger and resilient. So don't give up. Thank you.
I'll just say to someone out there, your mind is a tool. You don't use a pen to stab yourself, but rather you can use it to put down your thoughts and, decide that it can be useful to you. Your mind is a tool that you can wield like a pen. It's also like a knife. You can choose whether to hurt yourself with it or to use it to make good food that will comfort you. It's up to you. So decide how your mind goes, the direction it goes, and what goes on in there. It's a choice. It's up to you. You have the power. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. In parting, I would say, know the kind of edibles you feed your mind with. Things around you, people around you, are they positive people? Are they positive events? Even when you watch TV, what do you see? When you go on social media, what do you see? Are they the positive side of events or the negative side of events? So the edibles you feed your mind also help you to wield your mind over matter. Thank you so much, ladies and our viewers, for staying stuck with us up until this moment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and please do not stop. We love you for this, and we hope we can do this again next year and the rest of the year. Okay, this is not goodbye yet. Okay, thank you, ladies. I'd like you to unmute and say goodbye at this time.
Goodbye at this time.
Bye.
Mind yourself.
My hand just came down. Not in my hand. Mind yourself.
Thank you, for joining us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucinda.
Big hug from here. We are wrapping you. We are wrapping you.
Take care.
Thank you. I love you all. Bye.
This is Bold TV.